Murder in Minutes. The Larry Hall Case. Have you seen Blackbird on Apple TV? It's the gripping tale of a man who risked it all to uncover the truth about a suspected serial killer. But what makes this story so haunting is that it's based on real events. Today, let's talk about Larry Hall, his young victims, and how Jimmy Keene played a key role in bringing him to justice. Larry Hall was an odd and unassuming man, a Civil War reenactor with a soft-spoken demeanor. But beneath the surface, Hall had a dark side. Authorities believe he may have been responsible for the abduction and murder of multiple young women in the Midwest during the 1980s and early 1990s. His method was calculated, stalking, abducting, and, ultimately, silencing his victims forever. What made him so elusive? Hall often confessed to these crimes only to later recant, claiming he just wanted attention. This strategy left law enforcement frustrated, struggling to pin down the truth. Enter Jimmy Keene, a charismatic and street-smart former high school football star. Keene was convicted of drug charges and sentenced to 10 years in prison. But when the FBI came to him with a deal, everything changed. The mission was simple, yet deadly. Transfer to a maximum security prison for the criminally insane, befriend Larry Hall, and get him to confess to where his victims were buried. In return, Keene could walk free. Inside, Keene quickly learned that Hall was as disturbing as he seemed. Hall spoke in cryptic phrases about his dark urges and hinted at the crimes he committed. But gaining Hall's trust wasn't easy. Jimmy had to act like a friend, all while masking his own disgust. In one chilling moment, Hall described using a map to mark where he buried his victims. Jimmy knew he had to get that map, but Hall's paranoia made every interaction a game of psychological warfare. Eventually, Jimmy succeeded. Hall confessed to the murders, describing how he abducted his young victims, and even provided details about their final moments. But the most critical piece of evidence was the map Hall drew, showing burial sites. Keene relayed everything to the authorities, and although Hall was convicted for one murder, his confessions hinted at dozens more. To this day, Hall remains a suspect in multiple unsolved cases. Larry Hall is now serving a life sentence, but many of his victims' families are still searching for answers. And Jimmy Keene? He got his freedom, but the psychological toll of his mission lingers. What do you think? Was Jimmy Keene a hero for infiltrating the mind of a killer? And while Jimmy Keene walked free, the question lingers. How many more victims remain undiscovered? How many secrets still lie buried, waiting to be unearthed? Perhaps the scariest thought of all is this. What if Jimmy hadn't taken the deal? How many more voices would have gone unheard? Sometimes the price of justice is steep, but what would you risk to stop a monster? This is Murder in Minutes. Like, comment, and subscribe.